Usually it involves like taking an initial look at the, so requesting these documents are a good start, but also, taking a look at the balance sheet and the profit and loss, and just kind of, that also dictates, okay, what's involved in here.
Right.
So in the case of this example, and we obviously don't have it for this example because we don't have actual payroll run, but when we see payroll expenses, we would typically request the payroll tax filings for the year, just so that we can compare those payroll tax filings to the figures on the P&L and just try to tie those out.
Right.
The other thing we would do is, so we would look on the balance sheet. So you have a main checking account with some bank out there. We would typically request the 12/31/15 statement and just see how that ties out with the bank account balance as reported in the books.
Okay.
They have a pretty simple balance sheet here, for example. So, you have your furniture and equipment, so you just want some more details on exactly what that was. There's really no liability. So if there were, say there was outstanding debt, say there was outstanding credit card balances, again, we would typically request the 12/31/15 balances.
So end of year.
End of year statements for those, just to, again, to try to tie them out and make sure they're relatively reasonable on the books as compared to the statements.
Right, and more detailed. And so would you, Adam, not to cut you off, but just so we kind of understand how your process here, which is a proven process that you're actively using with clients. So you would kind of, to simplify it on because the business owner, a lot of times, as we know, like if you give them everything and request everything, sometimes they kind of disappear or they don't have everything, so they get like all nervous. So would you kind of, as your process, start with the profit and loss and the balance sheet as your basic request, and then based on that you would kind of do additional requests?
Yeah, typically.
Okay.
Either based upon those statements or based upon discussions, so when you came in, we might have said, all right, do you have business credit cards? Do you have business, debt? Do you have more than one bank account? Those sort of things. But yeah, I think a common theme in this class and in the process overall should be try to keep it, as simple. The harder it's just going to be to get the basic information to get the return done.
Right.
And looking at this and not knocking on our example here, Andy, but it's a pretty basic setup. So it's pretty simple as far as they don't have a lot of activity on the balance sheet here, and you can see these returns, larger entities where they just have a ton of accounts up here. They have a ton of different types of asset classes. They have all kinds of debt and other stuff going on, so it gets more convoluted. This one, there would be no sense in trying to make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Right. So you kind of take it in a simple way that I can handle as the business owner, start working on it, and that makes sense. I wanted to do something fairly simple. A lot of our audience will be, people that maybe haven't done a lot of returns. So I'm hoping that this can be a basic thing.